Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Adele, and here is Julia and Saha. And as high schoolers, we have reached our 9th summit for the first time with this team. And one reoccurring theme we hear from numerous tech-oriented recent college graduates is that they wish to learn how to creatively use their computer science skills earlier on. So SVTTT's mission statement is to strive to inspire the next generation of talented youth by providing talks from people in our community.
So we've covered many topics over the past 4 years, all of which were made possible with applications of various technologies by high school teams in our communities and the work of industry professionals. So some of our past topics have included the Internet of Things, finance with AI, the business aspect of technological developments, getting involved with the science fair, AI-inspired art, game design, and other things. And we're proud to present today's topic, which is coding with music.
This time, we are lucky to bring onto stage the very accomplished and passionate people who will be speaking today on how coding has helped to enhance music. As technology advances in our modern day, how can we utilize it to solve the problems we face in today's world? Problems like how can we get easier musical access, how to manipulate sounds to make something new without so much work. Noblest, a team of students from the Bay Area and Hunter Ewan, a creative technologist and composer, will bring to you the cutting edge of innovation used for change.
Okay. So first of all, the startup team that will be presenting today is the Noteblast team, and their platform is designed to act as a game where musical students can learn and enjoy their musical experience. Noteblast is an educational game that listens to a user's playing of an instrument and gives instantaneous feedback. Their app determines the quality of a note based on a neural network of previously recorded sounds, which can produce qualitative data about the accuracy of a user's playing. This can help teachers, students without resources, and anyone who wants to improve their playing. So if Noteblast wants to take it over.
Hello, we are the Noteblast team, and we hope to achieve music for all.
So my name is Adele, and I am a freshman at Burnham High School. And as for my musical instrument, I play violin, and I work for the team in front-end developing outreach and helping out in competitions.
Hello, I am Aminjin. I'm also in 9th grade, and I go to Gunn High School. I used to play the piano and violin, and now I'm in choir. I'm also the front-end developer, and I also do work for community outreach.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, and I am a 9th grader at Palo Alto High School, and I mainly work on the app development side, and I used to play the trumpet.
Hi, I'm Hyunuk Choi, a 10th grader at Mission San Jose High School, and I am in charge of the AI aspect of our team.
So here's our little intro for the problem and solution that Noteblast is addressing for our problem and solution. So let me reach to the link.
Practiced her violin since our last session.
There, can you turn up the volume a little high?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Adele. I hope you practiced your violin since our last session.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, I hope that is the case. Start playing. Not quite. Why don't you try that again? Stop. I'm just not sure how to say this. I don't know how to make my feedback more precise and how to more accurately point out what's wrong with your playing and what you can improve. Man, I wish there was something to help us with this.
You know what, teacher Arminjan? These days, my friends have been talking about this trendy, new, hot app called Noteblast, which is an educational game that listens to a user's playing of whatever instrument, like the violin, and instantaneously they give us the quality of the note that I play and produce a bunch of qualitative data about the accuracy of how I'm playing it. So I feel like for you to not be frustrated and for me to get better, I think Noteblast can really help us out. You and I can get help from this app, and hopefully we will be able to play better and have more fun playing violin. And now we know, with all the stress gone from teacher Arminjan, she will live at least 50 years longer than she was before Noteblast.
Right, so that was us presenting our problem and solution for Noteblast. So the mission that we are trying to figure with Noteblast is that for people to enjoy a creative aspect of music without worrying about the various expenses of learning an instrument. And with this, our customers will be able to have instantaneous qualitative feedback about their playing, which can democratize the access to musical education for everybody.
And in terms of our team progress, we have made two major changes. Firstly, we switched from having our app solely focused on the conga to having it be for all instruments. Initially, we had done this because we knew that the conga was a very technical instrument and definitely it would be very helpful, this app, for a lot of students. But we realized that we could also expand to other instruments and also that the conga would be a really small audience. Furthermore, we also changed from using Python to JavaScript, mostly due to user accessibility, because with JavaScript, you would be able to open the app within a browser.
Okay, so I'll be showing you guys the little demo of our app. So here you can see is the homepage of the app. We got an editor, we got settings menu, we have play, and you can see a list of songs. Right now, they're just temporary. We can also see inside, when you click on them, you see scrolls. You see notes scrolling from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. And then you're supposed to click number keys, and that could activate the notes right now. But we are planning on implementing an audio analysis program, which is this right here. You can see when I'm talking, it's analyzing my voice and it's outputting these frequencies. It tells me which note I'm saying right now, along with how sharp or flat I am. And the green part means in stable, basically one note. I can give you guys can play with this I'll send the link in the chat. And the QR code will be up shortly.
And Adele and the Noteblast team, is this the part I'm supposed to play some cheerleader role and testing out this app, right? So,
right.
Yeah, I do have a part in this team's presentation. So let me share my screen and then let's see actually it works. So I'm gonna do some promotion pitch about the SVT team. SVTT team is the students organized a volunteer organization, and they've been meeting for this summit prep for the last 2 months every week. And I was so impressed that how organized they are and how passionate they are. They break down their tasks and then they checked their tasks in progress or not every week. And if they need help, they ask help for ACF. And also they even met with our another keynote speaker, Mr. Hunter, in advance to introduce themselves and to say hi. So I thought that was pretty amazing. And also I wanna share how much fun we had with the Noteblast team. As you guys see, they had fun with their intro acting. So I'm so proud of these two teams. One is the SVTT internship members and also Noteblast team. So is this enough for me to stop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if you guys want to give this a shot, the link is in the chat and you can also scan the QR code with your phone. It also works on the mobile phone as a website. So feel free to check this out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was supposed to sing, but unfortunately, I don't have a very beautiful voice like Adele and Aminjin. So yeah, I decided to just decide to talk to test out this
Right.
app. Yeah.
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 Okay. So if you guys like had some time with that, we'll move on to our future plans for our app.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Adele. So firstly, in the near future, we plan to finish our minimum viable product that is our prototype, and we plan to implement a note analysis feature, which we just demoed. It'll allow users to learn and practice music in an interactive and fun way. And through implementing this, we will able to not only have key presses, but we will also be able to help them learn. And while we're creating these prototypes, we will be contacting musicians and music teachers to set up meetings and have them test it out. Their feedback will be crucial in helping us make improvements and tweaks the application before we launch it. We want to ensure that our application is user-friendly, efficient, and caters to the needs of our users. Lastly, when we're marketing our project, we plan to market it as web application and to drive the adoption of our product. We'll do this through active social media and GitHub community activities to further democratize the music industry and technological aspects of music. Thank you.
So that's the end of our presentation. If you guys have any questions.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions for this group, you can unmute and ask a question, or you can also send it in the chat and I'll read it out loud and hopefully we can find an answer.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach Swalitika. I do have one question. I think this would be amazing app once you guys finish the prototype and share with the schools, communities. Is there any way you guys planning to give the free version to the schools and music teachers, because they need a lot of support?
I think the way we're trying to go with this is trying to make a way for a lot of people be able to access it, but a lot of people also not spending too much money on it. Oh, sorry. And it's more like we're trying to work something out where anyone can access it however they want. And we would make most of our profit that we need to develop this app through advertisements and like donations and like funding from different kinds of funds that are like used to help apps like us trying to help the community. So yes, for schools that need a lot of support on their musical education, it's more of like, yes, it's for them to be accessible for. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
So one question that came in the chat is, what is your timeline to launch this great app? Share it on Facebook or Twitter or social medias? Would anyone like to answer that question?
Yeah, so we're still in developing our app stage, and we're trying to especially while we were talking about our progress, we first started with Python with like a Py game, but now we're gradually changing it to a JavaScript version, and it's looking a lot better, like our demo was showing. So it's getting better, but we still have to get a lot of the note recognition, like you've seen in our demo, implemented into our UI. So doing that, learning the artificial intelligence, like the neural networking that we're trying to train our computer to think for getting what note is right, what note is wrong, that kind of thing. We still need some time to do that, and we're still working on it. Like we're on the progress for it. So I think once we get that all settled up, then there'll be a lot of promoting on social media or like different kind of apps where we can come up. I think I see a hand. Yeah.
Yes, it's me, Hilario. Well, I just want to say that it's a very amazing idea. I think in my country it will be great to have this kind of tool available, because unfortunately here there are a bunch of artists that doesn't have the opportunity to, you know, get better with the instrument, or people who are interested to learn how to get better with an instrument. For example, I would like to play the piano, but I don't have any idea to play the piano. So it would be great to have Note Blast in my PC or in my cell phone to learn how to play the piano. So it will be great. I think it's a great idea and can help a bunch of people around the world.
Yeah, definitely like helping people all around the world is like something we're focusing on. So it's like the way we also changed from like a specific instrument like a conga to all different kinds of instruments for our code is something that we're really trying to get everyone really involved into getting help from this. And I think I see would the app be free? So from Thomas, yeah. So for now, as of now, we are saying this will be free. This app, like at least the basic functions or the main functions of it. And if we are also thinking of like upgraded versions, or obviously when we get there at that point, then upgraded versions or some kind of more variety of songs to pick from, songs you can request of, that kind of stuff is like would be a little extra. But definitely the main functions, the accuracy, the qualitative data, instantaneous feedback, all of that would be free for, as in now, like our marketing plan for now.
Are there any other questions for this group? They did a great job. If there's, another question came in. On what platform would this app be available for downloading?
Jeffrey, you want to go for it?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say,
Wait,
Oh.
who?
oh, sorry, I thought, okay,
Anyone, it doesn't matter.
okay. So, I mean, seeing as we haven't got our full prototype yet, we're not really sure, but the main idea is that people could open it from like just the browser instead of having to really download it. Although if someone really wanted to, they probably could. So yeah.
All right, then if that's all, I think you guys did a great job. I think we'll go into a really quick intermission where Note Blast, I believe you guys have a survey that you'd like to send out to the audience to get any feedback. Is that true?
Yeah, I can send that form into the chat, and if you guys are able to fill that, it's like a couple questions, like music wise, and if you're able to do that, that'd be nice. So I'll send a link in the chat really quickly.
Yeah, so please take some time to fill out the survey. It would help the group a lot.
It should be in the chat now. If you guys are able to fill that out, that'd be nice.
And I think we'll come back at 6:27. So in about a minute, 2 minutes. Okay, I think we can resume our speakers today. If everyone could focus back here, we'll continue with our next speaker, Mr. Owen. He is a creative technologist, composer, multimedia artist, teacher, problem solver working for BandLab Technologies, and that's a cloud platform where musicians and fans can create, collaborate, and engage with everyone across the globe. And since June of 2022, he's been the head of AI music at BandLab Technologies. So if we could give a warm welcome, and Mr. Owen, if you could take it away.
Hi, sure. Yeah, thank you all for having me. It's great to see some of you, to hear some of you talk, and great to hear the Note Blast team go through your presentation. That was really, really cool. So thank you for sharing that. Like you said, my name is Hunter Ewan. A little bit about me. My background is in mechanical engineering. That's what I went to school for a long time ago. But my doctorate was in music composition and composition technology. I play the saxophone and piano a little bit, but mostly I'm a composer and music technologist. I tell people that I'm an expert in digital creativity, whatever that means. So I have 10 years classroom experience at the University of Colorado Boulder, teaching music technology, programming, critical media practices, interdisciplinary art making, things like that. My professional work is in generated music. So starting with text input or images or another piece of music, and then running it through some kind of system that will then generate new music for you. My background is in procedurally generated and human-machine interaction. I worked at Amper Music after I left academia, which was one of the first generation music technology companies or music generation services. From there, I worked at Shutterstock, and now I'm the head of AI music at BandLab, which is a music composition ecosystem with over 60 million users. It has a web DAW that's free to use. Sign up for an account, and you could start making music today. I was really happy to hear the Noteblast folks talking about democratizing music. It's such an important time to talk about that, and it's also what I've spent the majority of my career trying to do. So over the last 3 years, we've seen just a ton of AI generation services pop up for text generation, for knowledge systems, for image creation or image manipulation, even for video and multimodal generation. The goals of these systems range from creating something new to analysis, to recommendation, to proofreading, error analysis services, upscaling, in painting. All of these services mention democratizing creativity, which was so great to hear it being such a big part of your presentation. I wonder though, with all these new services that are coming up, why doesn't a service or a collection of services or some industry standard approach exist for generating music? Why are there only a handful of services that deal with music technology in this way? And why isn't there some standardized approach yet with big companies pumping in tons and tons of resources to create music? And the thing that I've came up with after focusing on this problem for a really long time is that it's not just a technical problem. Generating music, working with music, dealing with music, turning music into a computer problem is a philosophical challenge as well as technical. Music is hard to understand, it's hard to make, and it's hard to agree on. Music is so multivariate. What I mean by that, I mean, there are so many different things that you can think about when you listen to music, right? Does this music have a really cool rhythm? Does it have a pretty melody? Does it have good lyrics? Are the roles and instruments interesting or unique? What about the timbre, the sound, the color of the instruments that are playing? The register, is this a high piece of music or a low music? Is it, does it have interesting counterpoint or voice leading, structure, repetition, dynamics, tempo, articulation? There are dozens of different ways to think about music, and they're all interrelated in a really complicated and confusing way that computers can sometimes struggle to understand. The way we describe and notate music is also different from person to person. We saw in the example today, we're using this little red line that sometimes turns green when you want to say, okay, this is good and this thing is bad. We sometimes use audio to talk about or to think about music. We sometimes write music down, right? We notate it, we have a 5-line staff and we draw dots on the page to represent sheet music. Sometimes we talk about MIDI or tablature or lead sheets and chord progressions, jazz charts, figured bass. There's a whole world of ways to capture music out there. And each approach to capturing the musical experience values some parts of it and rejects other parts. Some focus more on rhythm, and some focus more on instruments, and some focus more on lyrics, some focus more on melody. And different people focus on those different things too. Some people hear sad music, a piece of sad music, and it makes them feel sad. Others might hear the same piece of sad music and it makes them feel calm. Our prior experience, the baggage that we bring to a piece of music, can also impact how we hear it. And to complicate things further, the more often we hear a piece of music, the more we like it. So even if it's not good, human beings are built with this thing called repetition bias. If you hear Baby Shark enough times, you're going to really like the song Baby Shark, even if objectively it's maybe not the best song in the world, but you hear it enough, it gets stuck in your head and you can't stop singing it. Even really subtle things like where we're sitting, who we're with, how we're feeling, what just happened, even how loud the speakers or your headphones are can impact how effective the music is. And the language that we use to talk about music is exclusionary too. This is something, again, that Note Blast is taking on. It's such a hard challenge, right? Because there's all this insider knowledge. If you want to be making music, it takes a certain level of understanding of jargon and kind of technical words just to get started. You have to know what a chord is, or a note is, or what is an A sharp, and what is a B flat, and what is a whole note, and a quarter note, and a bar, and a staff, and a meter, and a time signature. And boy, it would be so much easier if we didn't have to have that language separating people that want to be musical from the ability to be musical. It seems like that's the perfect application for AI. If we can use AI to lower the barrier for entry into the musical community, we'll give access to more people to tell their stories. We'll allow people to be successful in this space that wouldn't normally be able to, that wouldn't normally have access. We'll help creative people share their stories. Because at its core, music provides opportunity to connect. And helping people to do that better is critically important and often overlooked. It's a responsibility that I don't take lightly. And I think AI is perfectly positioned to take on this role because there are more stories left to be told. Not everybody that wants to make music is able to make music. And if we want the next generation of great musicians, we need to nurture beginning musicians, create opportunities for growth and personal technical development, and AI tools can provide those kinds of opportunities. Now, the problem is this workflow is in it's at an inflection point right now, but it's so young, it's so new, it's so challenging, it's so technically demanding, it's so difficult that there's no standard approach for how to do this yet. How the heck do we train a computer system to learn about music when we can't even agree on what it is, what it feels like, how it works, how to make it? It's an extremely difficult problem. And the field is wide open, with different companies, and some of these are big companies taking wildly different approaches. Some are generating a small part of automating a small part of the music making process, maybe suturing different audio loops together, combining things to match a desired song length and calling that music generation, calling that AI. Some companies aren't generating music at all, but are instead just providing connections and links to existing music that matches a given query. Oh, you're looking for music that sounds like this. We have 300,000 pieces of music, and we're going to use AI to help you find the 5 that we think you're going to really like. That's a hard thing to do. Some generate MIDI, the building blocks of music technology, a digital version of notes and rests using rule-based systems, RNNs, transformer models, hybrid AI systems. Some will generate using tokenized audio, so directly creating audio in real time. Somebody types in a query and you get out some music. Some are intended to generate music in real time, music that could change according to some set of values. I don't know, as the Dow Jones goes up, the music gets louder. If it falls, the music gets softer, that kind of thing. Some are intended for pre-generation and curation. Maybe we don't need something that will change in real time, but maybe you want to hit a button and get exactly the kind of music that you're looking for. Some will use this intermediate layer of data where you could say, this kind of music that you're looking for is going to be happy and it's going to be in 4/4. And a lot of the words that we use to describe music could be used as ways of curating this kind of generative experience. Some companies don't do that. I wanted, just as an example, if I can figure out how to share my screen, to demo just a little generative algorithm that I prepared for today. This isn't in a service that's available to the public, so I can't really show you what the guts are, but I thought it would be kind of cool to go through some multimodal system and give you a sense of maybe what I mean when I say music generation. I'm just going to run a little script here, and it's loading up a fun little local language model that we can use to convert text into a collection of keywords, musical concepts that we can then use in a generative algorithm to generate a MIDI file. Then I can feed that MIDI file through my company BandLab's web audio workspace to get an audio file. So I'm just going to start by coming up with a prompt that we could maybe search for. And I'll say maybe really dark, aggressive hip hop with trap hi-hats and low string stabs. And so we'll let this run. We'll give it just a second. It's figuring out what kinds of parameters I'm asking for. What is it that I really mean when I make that query? It's coming up with the MIDI file. It's generating the MIDI file. And I think it's unlikely that you all can hear that. Let me unshare and reshare with my sound. How about now? Well, that's pretty cool, but it's not quite what I want at 9:40 at night, maybe a little bit aggressive. That's like, I don't know, morning, get up and take on the day music. So maybe instead of that, I want to do something to affect the audio. So I'm going to maybe swap the strings out for a moody piano and make the whole thing more melancholic. And so we'll see, we're starting with a set of recommended keywords. What do we keep? What do we change? It's going to go through a bunch of text. I somewhat anonymized this text so that you don't see the inner workings of our actual system. But you can see we're now, we've curated a slightly different sound. So listen to how different this is. So still in kind of the same genre, maybe a little bit more melancholic. We've got this moody piano going. I think it's pretty nice. Still kind of dark though. So maybe I'll pause this and we'll try one more. Let's lower the energy. I'm feeling a little tired at the end of the day from the piano.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I have a question. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, please jump in. I'm going to type as you ask.
Can you, for example, ask to the AI, like, I would like to sound like this artist? For example,
that's interesting.
Like, Eminem or 50 Cent or Joji or Whitney Houston?
So it's an interesting question, and I think there are two different answers that I want to get into. One of them is, can you? And maybe a subset of that question is, can you with this system? And then the other one is, should you? There's an ethical concern, right? A philosophical concern, whether or not this is possible, even maybe whether or not this is legal. You could imagine like going to DALL-E or going to GPT and saying, give me something in the style of somebody, and it can do a pretty good job, but sometimes like a scarily good job, and sometimes it just rips them off directly. We don't have a lot of guidance from the International Court yet about what we can and can't get away with, but I think there are certainly ethical considerations with doing that. Now, in terms of technically whether or not you can make that happen, yes, I think as long as you're aware and using the a kind of non-anonymized artist information as you're training, you could separate out and make little areas that are kind of unique to a specific artist. So you say, okay, give me something that sounds like Mariah Carey, give me something that sounds like Taylor Swift. And could it do a pretty good job of that? Yeah, but I think to do that, you have to know going into it that you're going to be leveraging that kind of, you're going to be pulling that lever, so to speak. So if you're building a system specifically to do that, you're going to be kind of aware that it's something that you're looking to do, and then you need to be prepared for any kind of ethical or philosophical or legal hurdles that might come up. Are there companies that are doing that right now? Yeah. There definitely are. Are there companies that sound as good as this music? Oh, let me play this last one. Are there companies that sound, oh, this is nice, that sound this good? I don't know, maybe not yet, but in 5 years, it might get a little bit scary, and governments might have to step in. But it's the same, let me pause it so you all can hear. It's the same problem that we're dealing with image generation, with text generation, with intellectual property, copyrightability, across a whole bunch of different media types. So music is definitely going to be one of those. Hopefully it's not going to lead the charge, because music is famously terrible at IP and copyright protection. You hear about these ridiculous lawsuits and somebody suing somebody because the music sounds too similar to this other person. And then you have to go into a court of law and figure out, well, in what specific ways do they sound similar? And that goes back to this problem of music as being a thing that is hard to understand, hard to make, and hard to agree on. So you could say, oh, this music feels this way, or it sounds this way, or it has this chord progression, and then some lawyer for the other side says, oh, no, it actually feels really different, and the chord progression works a little bit differently, and if you spell it this way, the music is unique and distinct, and you can get away with a lot, and it hasn't really been tested, and it's kind of a strange area to be working in, music copyright law, but it's something that'll get tested in the next 5 years for sure.
Okay, thank you for the answer.
Somebody in the
Thank you.
chat, AI lawyer might win at the end. Yeah, maybe it'll be AI generating the thing, and then AI lawyers fighting about whether or not it's unique. I think maybe that's all I had prepared. We can end it at the demo and get into some questions if anybody else has anything.
I mean, it's mind-blowing, Hunter. I'm just so impressed how much things are like intertwined, and how many, it's not like you generating, you think you're not like harming anyone, but it seems like so much things now you have to consider it. YouTube seems like a baby compared to this complexity with AI generated music.
Well, and the other problem is when we signed up for all of these servers, all of these services, we didn't really know what kinds of license agreements we were signing. Nobody really reads those things. Oh, you want to sign up for some service or some place that you can put your music, or you can, dance, or you put your blog or something. And you kind of think, well, I'm agreeing to targeted ads, and that's okay. I'm willing to do that. But come to find out, people now have access to this data because it's in a public space, and they can use it to train these kind of systems. And I don't know, we may have to at some point soon really evaluate what our license agreements cover, what they're useful for, maybe even have some point in time where we all go back and recheck some box for some expanded license agreement for every service that we use. Many of these are anonymized, so you can't do the thing like Hilario is saying, you can't do the thing of going to generatethismusic.com. I just made that up, but you can't go to that website and say, make a piece of music that sounds like Hunter Ewan, and then expect it to sound like Hunter Ewan coming out, because most of this training data is anonymized or is routed through a layer of metadata, genre or style or mood or tempo or rhythms or chords or instruments, or different ways that we can talk about music. And sometimes it's not, but it's definitely something we'll have to come to terms with.
I think Hilario has a question. Go ahead, Hilario.
Thank you. I just want to say that I think the music has a very important influence in the humankind. Very important influence. It's part of our life. It's part of the way that we think. It's a fundamental part of the humankind. For example, I'm a very fan of instrumental music. I really like musicians like Ryuichi Sakamoto that recently died, unfortunately. And for example, there is a musician called Emil Mosseri that is the
Mhm.
composer of the soundtrack of a Korean movie called Minari. I don't know if you
Mhm.
have the chance to watch Minari. And
Mhm.
there's Jacob and the Stones. When I hear Jacob and the Stones, I feel a massage in the back part of my head. It's an amazing feeling.
Mm.
And I just want to say that yes, the music for us is important. The music
Mm.
for us is important in different ways. In different ways.
It's a beautiful statement and important in ways that we can't fully talk about or describe. Somebody once said, it's impossible to talk about music. You can only music about music. And I think on some level that's very true. Suzanne Langer said something like music sounds the way emotions feel, which I think is kind of a beautiful way to put it. Music, it's a thing that you can't really hold on to. It's not a painting. It's not a book. It's not, your phone. It's this unique thing that's kind of in the air and you don't really see it and you kind of experience it, but it's fleeting. It comes and goes. It's ephemeral. Yeah, a lot of philosophers in the 20th century say that music um, is emotion, or it works the same way that emotion does. Um, just sort of a beautiful thing, Hilario, to hear you say back. Thomas, you have a question?
So how much time would it take if to make one song? And if you were able to share it, how much time would that take?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if I'm just thinking about the services that are available today, if you say ava.com, which is a company that makes music based on a web interface. You ask it for the things that you want, and it will generate maybe 3 minutes of music. And it might take 15 or 20 seconds for it to do that work. So it's pretty quick. In this example that I just showed, I was doing it all on my computer. It took, 12 seconds, 15 seconds. Things can get a little bit faster if you start to use multiple computers, if you're using multiprocessing, if you're better about figuring out what kinds of calculations can be done in what system. But the majority of the time, weirdly, is spent generating the audio. So even if you can come up with the musical commands, play this note saxophone at this time and play this drum pattern on the tom drums and play this chord on the piano, that can happen really, really quickly. But the challenging thing is to get from those directions to a full realized audio file. And then if you want to make the file smaller, say for downloading, you have to generate it with this full, what we call a WAV file, so at full quality, and then you have to send it through another program or another process that reduces the file down to, say, an MP3 so that you can stream it or download it or use it. And that takes time too. So weirdly, a lot of the time is taken up just making the audio itself, but the musical decisions can happen in less than a second.
Thomas, do you have another question? Okay.
Yeah, JC.
Thank you so much. SVTT always blow my mind, and this collaboration between the Noblast and you, it's amazing. So thank you so much. And I have a question: can you put any image, into that AI to create a new song? For example, like I put myself, the picture of myself into AI, and like can it create the song with the images?
Yeah, conceivably, not on the exact Python script that I pulled up, and I don't think I could get one up and running quick enough to demo it right now. But it's definitely possible to do that. You would just need to use some multimodal, even like a pre-trained model could get you where you need to go. So if you imagine it as being like a multi-step process where step one is take the image and convert the image into a set of keywords, or take the image and do what we would call cosine similarity. So figure out a vector, some 300, 700 dimension vector that reflects that image, and then figure out how close it is to a vector that represents maybe each of the keywords that we care about. How happy is it? How sad is it? How upbeat is it? How minor is it? How major is it? You could do all of that searching in something like a face index. There are a bunch of pre-trained models, even like GPT-4 probably could do this in the future. But then you would take the text as this kind of intermediate layer, and then you could feed that into an algorithm that would generate the music. Obviously, there are other ways to do this. This is just the thing that I happen to have in front of me right now. There's no particular reason why you couldn't go directly vector to vector, why it couldn't be truly multimodal across music and text and image, the way that, say, GPT-4 kind of is now. There's no particular reason other than it's expensive and a real pain, and music is so squishy that we can't implement music in those situations as well. And I think probably the big companies that are the first company that's going to do this really, really well is going to be some company that has access to all of the images and all of the text already. And then they can, with limited investment, get music for free. So it'll be something like the Facebooks or the Googles or the OpenAIs of the world that I think are going to have the first crack at really doing, true like vector to vector multimodal, given this song, describe what it sounds like, or given this image or given this video, come up with a soundtrack that goes with it. I think it'll be some big company, but I don't know that that's going to be the ultimate place where generative music lands. Because music is so much about a conversation, the point of it, and Hilario, you and I could argue about what the point of music is, but I see it as being kind of a conversation. I want to give you some piece of music because I have something to say about myself, about the world, about my experience, and I need you to hear it to complete that transaction. Otherwise, I'm just shouting into a telephone and there's nobody on the other end. And when you take away a person from one side of that conversation, it starts to fall flat. So if you say, we've generated this music and you're supposed to listen to it, well, you can listen to it and you can appreciate it for what it is, but are you going to have that kind of magic, that connection, that human interaction that you get with human to human music? I think maybe no. And one of the things that we're trying to do at BandLab to help facilitate that connection is even when we're generating music, we're doing it in ways where there's a human involved at every step of the process. So all of the rhythms that you heard, the instruments, the chord, they all had a human hand in it. Maybe they're not writing with an old-timey quill on a piece of staff paper. Maybe they're doing a more sophisticated using a more sophisticated approach to generate it, but there's a human at every point. And our thinking is that giving people that connection will help them to better, recognize or own or feel like they have some creative authorship over the end product. And I think if you don't do that, in the same way that, say, ChatGPT's answers can sometimes feel kind of hollow, the music that those big systems create probably will sometimes feel kind of hollow. And there are ways that we can avoid that, like splitting the process up into a bunch of small pieces and trying to have human curatorial involvement at every step of that process. So when you get the thing out, it still sounds like a human worked on it because actually a human did work on it, just in a non-conventional way. Thomas, I saw your hand go up again. You have another question?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to close.
Yeah,
no problem. I've been there.
I do have one question. I know we get close to the end of this session. Is that as Chase said, that prompt is the image, right? Instead of a verbal language. So it can help some people with a disability, right? Do you see some potential where this technology, AI generated music, can play a huge contribution to the previously this access very limited, like people with some disability?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a company now that does auto tagging of music. That's going to be slowly adopted for closed captioning services. So if, say, you're deaf or if you don't hear very well, you're watching a TV show, sometimes it will say music plays, or it'll say, I don't know, exciting music or sentimental music plays. If there were better, more descriptive words that we could use to talk about the music, maybe it would help people that are deaf or that don't hear well to understand the emotion of the scene a little bit better. Maybe words aren't exactly enough. And if we are living in a multimodal space, maybe you could give a little picture or a little thought bubble or a little idea of what the music sounds like in a way that helps people better understand what's going on. So I think in that way, it could be really very useful. The flip side is true too. Instead of using music as the input, using music as the output to help people with disabilities. So imagine you go to an art gallery and you're blind or you don't see very well. You could have, say, an audio guide, and the audio guide, as you're going from piece to piece, could be analyzing in real time and then generating music that helps put you in the mood of that work. Now, maybe there's some text that gets generated as well, and maybe some like historical information or background, but maybe somebody's reading that like an audiobook on top of the music that's playing. And all that could be possible with this kind of multimodal search. Absolutely.
I think that's a brilliant idea, helping these blind people experience with the music, the arts. I think that's brilliant. So I think SVTT team, I think we can wrap it up. We got lots of good questions and amazing answers. So
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. for giving us a good speech and answers to all of our questions. To close off our SVTT meeting, summit, I'm just gonna have a little topic introduction of our next one, which will be coding with community. So one of our speakers will be the monthly app challenge, talking about how coding can help interactions within the community as well.
I think that's the topic introduction, but I don't think we have that person here.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So we'll just move on to the rest of our information about SVTT.
So thank you for coming to our svttt summit today. Hopefully everyone was able to have a great experience learning about coding with music. So for more svttt information, feel free to contact our LinkedIn, YouTube, or like a SVTT website channel for more information, which is in the Zoom chat right now.
And also, we'll be sending out a survey in the chat, and this is for feedback for us and anything you want to tell us about for this summit. So once again, thank you for joining. And if you could fill out this survey, that would be really helpful for us. I'll send it right now. And hopefully everyone had a great time. Feel free to leave now with any final comments or words of, I don't know, just any words you'd like. And I hope you have a nice day or evening or morning, wherever you are.
Yeah,
Thank
this is
you.
quite a global audience today. Thank you, Mr. Hunt and Note to Blaster team. It was really, I didn't know they was 1 hour past. Such an amazing job and very enlightening. Yeah. So
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
yeah. Until so we'll keep in touch next week sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions or things that they're curious about, you could filter them through Yoonjung, and you can get them to me, and I can get you some answers.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hilario, with a lot of questions and staying late from your country. And then Mr. JC as well from Korea. I think we covered pretty much all the continent today, but feel free to leave now. SVT team will have some quick wrap up, sync once everybody leaves.